Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics for now.
I think it's the topic that we're talking about the whole last 2 years. Ayah.
Okay, it's greening.
You're listening to...
Jom Sembang, Malaysia.
So yes, if you all don't know, which you should know if you have listened to the last, 80 episodes of us talking, Juwita used to kill plants.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose, but you don't find plants in her house at all. Correct,
Quite
right?
quite.
Yeah, so...
Got one fake one.
And then every time I go to the house, there's a fake plant that looks very weird and he's been there and I was wondering, how come this plant never grow?
Yes.
Like never grow for years that I visit, and then I realized it was a fake plant. So after that, what happened?
You gave me one money plant.
Yeah. Because I thought
Yeah.
money plants are hardy lah. They don't die very easily but got water carry, you know. So I just give to her and then, she always call me, dying really now.
Yes. I think I drowned it. Because, they start to look like you. Then I'm like, pour more. Then suddenly she said, hey, I think you drowned it. I'm like, but that is brown. How can I drown it? So...
Yeah. So today's topic is very interesting is because I think for myself, I started doing a lot of gardening since I was young. So this is where I'm very different from Juwita. I can talk about plants like a long time, and then Juwita is like, what plants? There's only fake plants in my house. Alright. So normally if I meet friends who have green fingers, then we will talk about how to trim our plants, which kind of plant need more sunlight, which kind of plant okay and stuff like that. I could never have this talk with Juwita. And then one day she said she want to try and start to create a park, which if you have followed before, you know that we are creating a park in downtown KL. And I'm like, this girl who has no plant want to start
by that time got ready lah.
Yeah.
Got 3, 4 small plants.
So can you imagine how many plants I give her? Okay, try this one. Oh, almost die. Wait, I'll try another one. And then I exchanged because I didn't want her to feel like there's so many dead plants, right? I said, give me the dying plant. I give you another same pot with different, same breed. Like 5 leaf because you killed 4 already. Then we changed. And then after that, I said, okay, now she's very good with money plant. Then I started to give her other plants to play with.
Hey, actually, my progress not bad. No, from 0 to not hero, but I remember once I was asking you, then you said, oh, you can repot the flowers. So I'm like, wow, put newspaper in my room and everything. Then like, take out the pot, then put in the other one. Then very proud of myself lah. For it lasted for some time, and I don't know why. Eventually, they just my room too toxic or what, I don't know. Now they're all in water.
Correct. So if you have an overthinker like Juwita, sorry, I'm not hitting on you.
It's okay, I'm used to it.
Yeah. So like she will come a point where I think the second or third pot she will say, am I watering too much or too little? Then she take video, like that too much? Like that too little? Then I'm like, so stressful. What? I just water according to my mood, because it's hardy plants, so I'm thinking you're not doing vegetables. So like, why are you so stressed out? But yeah, that was the beginning of your greening journey.
Yes.
You have any experience to share?
I think like what I shared just now. But interestingly, right, my father had very green fingers. He had a garden. He would. Then one day he was like, he would find, sometimes got seeds. Eat papaya, right? Then there was a trend where seedless papaya came to Malaysia.
Okay.
So he will buy the papaya. Then, it's not exactly seedless. Sometimes got
miserable 1 or 2 there.
And because it's so precious, he would keep all of them. Then he plant until the whole garden full of seedless papayas. Then he would eat papaya. This is how much of a gardener he was. He would eat, right, for breakfast, lunch, dinner, his fruit, right, until he turned yellow, came out of hospital. But that was the extent of how much he loved to do it. I think, I don't know, I love plants, but I don't know, it's like just, didn't really take off with me. But now I realize it adds life. It adds to my room. And then this other thing that I realized, right, was, and I don't know what you think of it lah. So I've got the money plant, tall one. Sometimes they look quite scrawny and they won't even open up. The leaf won't even open up properly. So it's a bit sad sometimes out there. It's tall. But when you get flowers, sometimes you go somewhere, right, you get one stalk of rose or whatever. And then I'm like, I'm going to put it in, like, oh my gosh, my house looks so nice now. Just by
adding living things.
Adding living things.
Makes a whole lot different.
So sometimes I go there, I talk to them. Hey, how are you today? Brown.
So you see, I'm not the only one who talk to my plants.
Because I'm supposed to talk to them, so I talk lor.
Yeah, it does good therapy. So yeah, actually quite interesting. And today we got to chat with a friend later on to talk about how she got into her greening journey.
Successfully.
Successfully, not us having fun, just shots on the reel like that. And yeah, what can really inspire a person to just go deep when it comes to greening, especially in town lah. Where you have balcony and you're like, Juita's balcony very clean. My balcony have plants that I can't even see my balcony. So yeah, after the break.
Today's episode is brought to you by Eats, Shoots and Roots, fondly known as ESR.
So yeah, what do they do, Ju?
Oh, they do workshops. You can commission them to come and do workshops in your school, in your companies, or you can check them out on Instagram, Eats, Shoots and Roots. And they're also going to run workshops and programs from Oasis at YWCA KL. So look it up lah. So today in the studio with us, we have a friend. Her name is Low Shao-Lyn. Everybody give it up! So we know Shao-Lyn from ESR, which stands for Eats, Shoots and Roots. So yeah, Shao-Lyn, come, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do lah. Maybe she can tell us a little bit of what she does, and then we'll come back to the earlier how you got into it.
Hello. Okay, so I guess in terms of my background, actually I don't have a formal education nor experience with gardening.
Okay.
As a young person, I was very disconnected from nature.
Something like Juita?
Yes, actually, maybe even less. I think Juita at least got one plant at home. Whether it was real or live or not real.
Okay.
So I came from a very sterile background. I just didn't have any plant experience at all. I had no inclination towards it until maybe I was in my mid-20s.
Okay.
When an old college mate of mine invited me to go and check out her permaculture site.
Ooh.
This is like story of very, very long ago lah.
And you went lah. Because some people, right? For example, I have people who's like not into plants at all. And then I say, come, let's go to a farm visit. And they look at me like, what a horrible invitation.
I think at that point of time, I was like, huh? Why?
Okay.
And she invited me to visit her permaculture site at that time. And I was just like, actually, I don't even know what this is. But because she's my old friend, I figured, okay lah, let's go meet her, check it out.
You didn't think it was like permaculture, make a culture more wavy or something?
It's like,
Sorry.
perm hair. No, like, so no idea. And then, so I visited her and she was in Batu Arang at that time.
Okay.
And then when I was there, I was like, oh, people can do this, huh? And she was growing a lot of different things.
Right.
Wait, you might want to explain what it is because some of the people out there might be like you lah.
True.
What is this?
Yeah, so what she had run at that time was a permaculture site, which is basically a site where she had experimented with different agriculture techniques that were more organic in nature compared to conventional agriculture techniques where you grow just one crop, you harvest it, and you spray a lot of pesticide, use a lot of like fertilizer.
Okay.
So in a permaculture system at that time, the point was to explore biodiversity.
Okay.
Plant a lot of different things.
Okay.
Also different things create resources for another thing.
Correct.
So it was like an ecosystem lah, and a holistic way of farming lah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a small site in Batu Arang. And I went to check it out, went to visit. And at that time, they were running a lot of workshops and courses. And when I went there, I was like, oh, like that also can. But actually, it was all alien to me. And all the plants that she had introduced, I had like no idea
It's
about.
like,
Over your head kind of
green
thing.
plant, green plant, green plant, green plant.
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
different
this one not
shades
red,
of
not green.
Yeah. So then I was actually like, actually quite charmed. Like I cannot even recognize anything.
Okay.
If there was an apocalypse, then charm lah, should die lah. So that was actually the trigger point for me. Having had no experience with plants, suddenly thrown into this arena where everybody knew their plants and she was like so passionate about
Right. And what's edible, what's not.
yeah,
right?
knowing and
How to eat it.
yeah, really having that knowledge lah. And I just felt like, wow, I am so clueless, have no idea about this. Basically have no knowledge, no skill set, and I felt very unskilled lah.
Wow. Okay.
So then I figured, okay, this is something very interesting. I think I should learn more about it. Whether not necessarily on like a super serious level, but it was something that for my life I think is important
Okay.
to know, or at least important to understand at that time. So that was the start of it lah.
So I should have brought you to a farm earlier lah, Ju.
Yeah, actually I guess being on a farm and you can really see how everything works together versus having a plant in your apartment or house.
Correct, because normally you buy a plant, they pot it nice in the pot, and it looks like a gift that everybody have hope, you know.
Yes,
Especially those who have buy succulents, right? They say, wow, it's only, you just need to water once every 2 weeks or whatever. It's full of hope. But then the story behind it, or all does not come out until like, why you start dying? I follow instructions.
And I suppose it was also like, if it dies, then you kind of feel like a failure because
they told me very easy to take care one once every 2 weeks, and yet it died leh.
But in a whole ecosystem, there will be things that actually work, don't work, and you begin to discover why, right?
Yeah.
But what were you doing at that time?
So I'm actually formally trained as a graphic designer. So technically my background is in design.
Okay.
Design advertising. So I guess in the line of communications, designing.
Okay.
And I was doing graphic design at that time. I still am doing graphic design today.
I'm in a room with 2 graphic designers, okay?
Don't worry, you're not perfectionist.
Okay.
Is it? I am. Joking. But yeah, so I was and still am a graphic designer. And I figured, okay lah, this is actually a part of life that I should understand and learn more about. And by chance, she asked me to join her actually to help sort of like create comms materials for her farm, her project.
So
and all
started
that.
also professional angle.
Correct, yeah.
Doing what you already know how
They
to
just say,
do.
come,
in that
Shao-Lyn,
field lah.
let's plant some carrots. Hey, no, Shao-Lyn, can you just draw me a carrot with a poster?
yeah, correct. That was how it worked. So I guess lend my skills where it is most valuable lah. Ask me plant carrot. Cannot lah. Also, carrot also very hard to plant here.
Okay.
So then I started with helping her out. And helping out the whole project in terms of creating comms materials, promoting the workshops and courses that was happening there.
And by doing that, you actually have to already learn. You would automatically be learning, maybe even without planting, you're reading and writing, right?
Yeah. So I would, at that point, my interest was to learn on the go lah.
Okay.
I mean, it was impossible to learn everything all at once.
Correct. You need time for the thing to grow before you can learn the next stage of the thing.
Okay. I hear you.
Yeah, so at that time, I helped out with graphic design, and then also learned a lot along the way.
Okay.
So then that was happening. And then at that time, I also went to volunteer for a few other permaculture projects. There was one in Bali where just learning what people do like different techniques, because it's such a big area to discover.
Right. But it
So much to
definitely
learn.
piqued your interest to like go until all the way there.
All the way to Bali.
Okay lah, the Bali thing was not that, I really want to go Bali. But it was because there was a permaculture practitioner that was executing a project there at that time. So there was an opportunity for me to go and help out. So that was where the gap was lah, where I could go
So
and help
at
out.
which point of this process that you decided, hey, I want to do this like a full time, or like, okay, I want to involve my life around this more actively?
Yeah, I would say it took a while. So I started with helping out with graphic design stuff. And as I went along, also can participate in the Cosma workshops as well, right?
Yeah.
So then learn along the way. Lor. And then at that time, Sabina did mention that she wanted to start something in the city instead. Because at that time, Batu Arang is quite far out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
No urban farm then.
yeah, and the observation was actually that a lot of people would come for the courses. But actually when people go back to their homes, everybody lives in cities. And when you try to apply such a concept to your apartment, it's completely different lah. It's completely different context.
How about garden? Little garden can or not?
Can.
Small garden plot can lah.
For sure
still
can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think at that point in time, a lot of people were interested in doing serious farming. Those who attended the permaculture workshop lah.
I see. Okay.
But again, also a lot of them still live in cities, and that's just the reality of it lah.
Yeah.
So then we figured, okay, maybe let's try to do something in the city instead. And that was when Eat Shoots and Roots was born lor.
Okay.
So this was like 12 and a half years ago.
Wow.
It started in Bukit Gasing. We started looking at a site.
Okay.
And then we started running courses and workshops there. So the whole point of running courses and workshops is so that we can learn from other people. So we bring professionals in, and then
I see.
we get to learn at the same time. So it was us self-funding our education in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
It's like, let's have a workshop. Everybody learn, but we also learning.
Yeah,
correct.
Instead of just we all learn, right? Or we have to go so far away. Yeah. Okay.
So that was how we did it. And somehow along the way, at that point of time, there were a lot of opportunities for social entrepreneurship, which is a very large
Yeah,
word.
there was one time it was trending.
Yes. The trend began around about the same time. And I would say we got kind of like thrusted into this arena. And there were a lot of people who wanted to support the work that we did,
Nice.
but through social entrepreneurship. And so there was a lot of training that was offered to us in order to be able to run the organization and sustain it in terms of finances and stuff like that.
Okay, so training in terms of entrepreneurship kind of training lah.
Yes.
Yeah, like how to, turn your entire farm workshop into a business as sustainability.
Yeah.
Instead of selling cactus.
Yeah. I think because at that point in time, there were a lot of NGOs who were facing issues with funding. I mean,
Yeah.
traditionally, they would be based on fundraising, right?
Correct.
Having to fundraise. But then there was this part where they were like, actually, maybe it's time to run it as a business so that everybody can financially sustain and offer something of value to people where people would pay for and basically sustain operations.
Yeah.
So we knew that we didn't necessarily want to be a typical NGO at that time. We knew that we wanted to be independent. So therefore, we were also, okay, let's look into this way or this model of operating. And so that was how it began.
So what kind of target audience do you receive? Is it like I retire, got nothing to do, come let's go and look at gardening? Which I don't think will happen lah. If your dad is good at gardening, my dad is good at gardening.
They won't go
will be
right for workshop.
So what were your first few batches of people? Are they like working adults or young adults?
Or kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the beginning when we were running courses on gardening and stuff, a lot of people were like, my mother, my father, my grandfather would love to join your workshop. But like you said actually they're already damn experienced already. They're not going to join our workshop.
Yeah.
So over the years, actually our workshop and courses is and are geared towards beginners, people who have no experience with gardening whatsoever. Because if you already do have experience, you will
Should have
just
sent
go
you
and
for the
listen.
workshop.
Not too late.
Yes.
Not too late. I can come one day.
Yeah,
I come and do comms and then I
can sing song, write music for us. So yeah, that was how I guess it started. People thought old people would be great, but actually no. Newbies, people who have no experience, that would be the audience that would benefit the most from what we do and what we offer lah.
But what did they want to do with what they learned? Was it more of like, let's check it out, or they actually wanted to?
Let's go back and
Find
start
a
a farm in my balcony.
Yeah.
So actually the first batch of students, a lot of them came, they were new families. They were people who were very concerned about what they were eating.
Oh, okay.
Concerned about health. So they actually wanted to look into growing their own food.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a healthy eating
there
trend
was
as well.
Yeah.
Like suddenly everyone's like organic lah. And then after organic is not really organic. Let me just plant my own organic.
So they were what, like planting it in pots in their balcony, or
So some of them had started farms on their own. Like small family farms. Some of them also, still live in apartments and they just wanted to know.
okay.
They
Sorry,
wanted to
when you
understand.
say farm means what?
Farm, a plot of land, maybe about half an acre, 1 acre, where you grow things for consumption.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying people in urban areas?
I would say, okay, so at that time, right, we had a few people who were young urban families who had access to small holding farms outside of the city
Okay.
and were looking into how can we escape the city and grow our own food and live
Okay.
off grid and
Okay.
sustain ourselves and eat our own food and eat healthily and live happily forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they actually moved into that place, their farm, and they lived there also lah.
That was the intention lah.
Okay.
This story got plot twist.
Oh,
So
nice.
in the beginning, a lot of people were very interested in living off grid, basically taking control of their food.
Okay.
Because people, I guess, felt that they had no control over what goes in their food, how their food is grown, right? So people reacted with wanting to take control of that.
Okay.
And so this whole off-grid living, preppers lah, in America got these people called preppers,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Where they prep for end of days,
Yes,
and then they store a lot of canned food in their basement, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Something along those lines lah. So people were looking to whether they could move out
Yeah.
and grow their own thing and start farms and start growing their own food.
It's actually happening even more now. After the pandemic, even more people are actively doing that.
So I would say plus and minus. So what happened with people being interested in that, right? And then, okay lah, over the 12 past 13 years, we've seen people who have done it lah.
Okay.
They're like, okay, we're going to go now. We're like, okay, all right. And then you realize actually it's really hard,
I would
farming.
imagine.
Yeah. So growing your own food is not as easy as it sounds lah. I mean, not to throw water onto this or
Correct,
whatever.
correct.
Yeah.
But it is a full-time commitment.
Yeah.
Or if not a full-time commitment,
At least half day commitment.
yeah, half day every day.
Yeah.
that
You
kind.
need quite a lot of hands as
You need to
well,
water,
isn't it?
then you
Yeah.
need to jaga,
You
then you
have
need
a lot
to
of
clean,
kids, then
no
at least you got
pests.
some free labor at home. But if not, then
Yeah, if you got
And then
two
you don't
toddlers,
necessar-
then susah.
Yeah, correct. And then you don't necessarily get to eat what you want to eat.
Yes.
For example, I want chili, but my chili padi got no chili padi now, so I need to go and buy chili padi.
Yeah. Or you need to exchange it with someone lah.
Yeah.
So I think there were a few people who experimented with that. They live, I guess, a bit further out lah.
Okay.
Started their own farming projects and stuff like that. But I think after a few years, it's tiring lah. It was tiring. It's definitely a tiring job. It's basically a new job, a new business, a new career.
Yeah. And more of a labor work kind of job.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if you are not a person who wants to chanko stuff, then chances of you making it might be not there lah.
Unless you got
Unless
money
you
to
got-
invest in
yeah.
machines.
Yeah, correct.
And this one is literally you don't go to work, you don't makan.
Yeah.
It's not like I can quiet quitting or whatever. Cannot.
Starving.
Oh, wake up. Okay lah, the next 3 days I lazy, don't
Just
water
no need to
plant.
eat already. Yeah.
Yeah. So whilst I mean definitely there are people in the industry who've done it, there are also people who have done it and found that actually it's really hard, like living
Yeah.
as just one family.
Yeah.
With 2 toddlers and
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to farm my own food is tricky lah. So I guess my learning from all this and understanding is that it's not necessarily important to start your own farm, but it's important to understand how food grows and how everything lends itself to an ecosystem
Okay.
and how you can support and work with other people within the industry as well. So you don't have to grow all your own food. Maybe if you even just grow one plant, at least you can trade it with someone else.
Correct.
But basically working together with
Get all the timuns and go next door. Hey, I need a pineapple.
Not the wild timun, the next one.
yeah, so working with a lot of other people is also an important part of growing. Working with people definitely. That's the learning lah. Although that has completely segued from just starting with gardening.
No, it's cool.
But it's quite interesting because then you have people who totally go out, right? But now that we see that a lot of people are trying to turn their balcony into edible gardens. So they try all kind of herbs and all this. YouTube is very helpful now. You just watch and you kind of do it kind of thing. But I've also seen that you guys are bringing urban farms to schools and stuff like that, which is very interesting because you don't only do schools, you also do places like a restaurant. Just wanted to know what is really going on because you are in the industry, right? Like, how do you get schools to invite you, or how do you convince them, hey, let's do a farm here, a mini farm that you can pluck some for salad? Was there an interest, or was it hard sell convincing?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel that the work that we do at Eat Shoots and Roots, right, actually cannot hard sell one. The hard sell method just cannot work because it works both ways. The growing is very, very dependent on the client, the person growing itself. Like, we can only help you as much as you help yourself.
Set up the garden, but you must take care of your own garden.
Yeah, because it doesn't make financial sense for us to do everything for you unless you got a lot of money you burn and throw away. Then sure, you can burn it on us. But working with clients is very much a two-way street.
Okay.
So we've always had interest in restaurant gardens because we like to eat. And we have an interest in making local native plants palatable and interesting, exploring that. That's just an area of interest lah. But somehow along the way, also restaurants have been the ones who have approached us because we cannot push this towards them. We were looking at once to like see how restaurants can have edible gardens in their space. But with the survey, we realized actually nobody really has time. People are working so hard in the kitchen lah.
Alright.
No time to water the plant.
Yeah. Then after that, if we expect them to go and water the plants, take care of plants as well, that's a different part of the supply chain that they have to look at. And that is very tedious on a typical restaurant kitchen.
Correct.
As
It
well.
kind of remind me of your colleague Nakib was saying, you used to supply bayam or something to the cafe down the street. Binger or something like that. So she was telling me a story where, their staff will come up and pluck whatever veg they need and then go back, But after a while, the stuff stopped coming. You buy from the supermarket easier. Because you buy from the supermarket, it's like, take the things that you need and then pay, right? But here the staff have to drive there and then pluck the one that is suitable and then wash them because might got soil and then bring it back. So it's like 4 steps.
Yes, correct.
So maybe that's why a lot of people like that idea because now that idea is very good, right? You sell to people, hey, farm to table or whatever, right? People are really hyped up about it. But the process itself is a bit hard to achieve.
Yeah, it's actually from seed to growing to transplanting to harvesting to drying to it's a very long process.
Yeah.
But I think restaurants that have approached us have been very understanding about this. They know that they cannot
It's
grow
just
everything.
add a value to their offerings.
Yes, yeah. So the restaurants that have worked with us, they are interested. Most of the time, the chefs themselves are interested to grow something and to see it grow from start to finish, and also to use it in their kitchen on a very fresh manner.
Yep.
So it's actually an area of interest way. They don't see it as a financial savings tool. Because it's definitely not. Because the amount of money that you have to put in order to set up, pay for soil, seeds and plants and all that.
Just to get chili padi.
You might as well just buy the chili.
So how does that actually work if they have no land there? They have no space?
Okay.
So
So the restaurants that approach us, usually they got some space lah. So we've worked with one restaurant which had access to a rooftop. So they had a lot of rooftop space. Recently, another restaurant that we've worked with is in Bamboo Hills.
Okay.
Called Tap Room.
Oh, that one also got a lot of space.
So they have a lot of space.
Because Bamboo Hill is all about environment.
Correct. Yeah.
So they have a lot of space there. And so their interest really is to plant different things that can supplement the kitchen. But it's also more of a way for the customers and people who come to the restaurant to understand and look at, different types of produce that they're using as well. So it's really more of an educational angle, not so much a financial angle lah.
More like a social earth responsibility.
A bit also lah, but depends, right? Because you got such a small space, then okay lah, you got 2 pots.
I suppose it's like the freshness of it lah. It's straight from there, come here instead of from the farm, travel to don't know what, take how many days ready, then don't know what pesticide is gone in, the whole process. So now it's like, but they can't also plant everything lah. So it'll be a selection lah.
Yeah. So it'll
Right,
be a
so-
selection. So usually we hone it down to a selection of herbs and
Correct.
maybe certain condiments that they will use frequently, but not
And
a
the
lot.
garnishings.
Because if you use a lot, then harvest one time, then okay, then your garden look better again.
Correct.
Yeah. So the educational angle definitely is one. The second is really the aesthetic angle, because I think sometimes when you have a space, I think it's really important to allocate some space
Put
to
some
greening.
living things in the restaurant,
Because it really does.
And not fake plants. Actually, a lot of restaurants now have fake plants. And I have to say, right, some fake plants are so well fake that you need to touch to know whether fake or not.
That's true.
I've done that many times.
Yeah. I said, fake
Because
one.
some real plants also look quite fake. So like so shining one, like really.
Correct.
Or the bark, like wow, got pattern.
Yeah.
But this is something that I realized that I've been a bit more peka to, like this greening thing. There's one place that I regularly go to. outside the cafe. It's got what do you call that? Like a planter box.
Yeah, planter
See,
box.
I know things now. And it's quite a stretch of it, but it's all fake. And I'm thinking, why can't we just replace this with? On the other hand, I've got the other friend who also frequents there quite often, and she's like, I've got Burlmax too. Is it Burlmax or Burley Max? I don't know lah. Anyway,
Burle Max.
Marks. Burl. Yes.
This is the landscape.
Yes, that guy, this plant named after him, the guy who designed
KLCC
KLCC.
Park.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. So anyway, she's always like got so many to give away, and I'm like, can't we just replace this patch with your plants? And it'll be like so much nicer than having the fake ones, lah.
But that's the thing about corporates or organization. They want plants, but they don't have the time and the money to make sure that they stay alive. Therefore, they all opt for fake plants.
Yeah, which is, I think, the thing that should change.
Yeah.
I guess in terms of value, sometimes we don't value plants as much.
Yeah.
But actually, they're really so valuable, and I think you can really see the repercussions of that in KL city now.
Yeah.
The fact that the way we construct, the way we develop, very, very little allocation is given towards greenery.
Correct.
And the whole city is just basically getting more concrete and more concrete.
Yes,
But it's getting really hot.
Yeah.
Getting really hot. It's very uncomfortable. And in the end, the whole space is just an uncomfortable space to live in. And then
Correct.
in the end, people don't like to come to the city, and then I don't know. So
Because it's super hot.
breathable,
Yeah.
some more, then flat.
yeah. So I guess now is the time when we're starting to see that,
Correct.
actually the value of greening a space, there's a lot of value in it which we have underestimated for the longest time.
Yeah.
So yeah, with restaurants or whatever businesses that they want to start growing in their space, right? For me, it's like, as long as you grow something, like, it doesn't have to be vegetables.
Yeah,
I'm okay
correct.
with that. Just grow and
Contributing
allocate
to the
space.
entire greening ecosystem.
So
kind of
every
thing.
little bit counts lah.
Yeah, I feel it really does.
Kan.
I think there were a few weeks ago when we were building a garden in a space, and it was just really nice on their part, but right next to it was like a 15-lane highway, and it was like really, really hot. And then it's like, then I start questioning myself, like, it's really hard to live in this city, even though we're greening such a small patch.
Yeah.
But even bigger patch is being bamboozled over, right?
But I already find that those people who get exposed to gardening, more than half of them would actually get hooked to it. It's a bit addictive. You know, that's why the research shows that if you play with soil, you get happy because there's all the endorphins that are coming out from you. But I find that because there was one time I have a lot of those Burmax or money plants, even tomato plants. Right? So I started giving my friends and all that. And they started to have more plants in their house because they see the benefit of it and everything. So I always believe that you can convert someone to be a green person by just beginning with one plant.
Yeah.
You know, and looking at how everything is going, for example, like if you look at online, you have all this Klang Valley Plant Acquisition Group. Hell, since when there's 10,000 people passing, butter trading plants on a daily basis, so there is a certain growth that is happening now. But how do we translate that to our work or school or whatever is it that is the key question lah. So I really like what you're doing, like, schools, like, the kids are always happy doing it. But I'm really hoping that, can you bring it home and tell your mother, please buy me a tomato starter or something like that?
So with schools, it's been half and half lah. Some schools, they really, really want to green their school. Some schools, they don't have financial allocation to it, so it's really hard for them. Some schools, they don't have the space. So far, we've been working with schools that want it lah, because if you don't want it, we cannot force it upon you ma. And we can really see with those schools that have adopted greening projects or gardens, you can see the kids really happy in the garden lah. They be like,
correct. They pass by and say, got an tomato. I'm going to eat it before anyone saw it.
Some living thing that changes every day, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Although it takes quite some time lah. It's not so instant. So it's 3 months to
they'll be like, I
harvest.
planted and then 2 months they don't see nothing.
Yeah. So it's a learning process also to teach them about patience.
Correct.
And how things take time and stuff like that. But so far in terms of schools, it's been interesting. There'll be some kids who maybe not interested in gardening at all.
The one that don't dirty my hands.
They
Give me
run
a
away.
fake plant is fine.
Yeah. But there'll be some kids who are also really drawn to it. You don't have to tell them anything. They're there no matter what. But I think the idea, like you said, is to just expose people and kids to the idea of a plant. And then from there, let them explore and see how it rolls from there. So that at least people are not so disconnected like I was for most of my young youth time. So that they can actually experience a bit and appreciate it a bit to get the ball rolling.
I think which is what is very interesting that what Julieta and I are doing in downtown KL. When we decided to create a community park, it was the whole greening idea at first, right? To stop floods, whatever not, right? But as we were going along, then we was like, hey, there's 6 schools around us.
Yeah.
And they don't have space for an urban farm. Because hello, your school is downtown, man. Every single space is precious.
Yeah.
Right. So just having the opportunity to that, just telling the group of science, hey, when it's ready, right? Just bring your boys or your girls over to look at the plants. And understand what is a mini cucumber plant. And instead of looking at it like, macam watermelon lah this one. You know, or stuff like that really amuses them. So like our site is directly opposite a primary school. The boys every time we are doing some gardening along the fence, they will come and pick. And then I say, hey, you can pick that cucumber melon looking thing that's touching your fence. Boleh makan ke? And that itself just changes already a seed of education that's going on. And that's what I really hope to see more and more around lah.
Yeah, I think for me, right, because we've been having volunteers to come and plant. So from corporate groups lah to
the one that will leave my office.
Yeah, to pasukan, the uniform bodies, they come and plant, right? I used to think I'm one of the rare people who never planted before, right? So I remember last time when Rina was asking, okay, who's planted before, right? And then the first time I also put up my hand. I know who's never planted before. I also put up my hand, right? But like majority, I think 90%, more than that. Usually there's only in a group of 30, right? Maybe one person only would say, oh yeah, I planted a tree before. I planted a plant before. And it's repeatedly, we've had like 5 sessions already now. And it's a recurring theme. So I thought, well, if anything, right, by people coming to volunteer, right, they also learn how to do this lah, do weeding lah, decide which one's the weed and which one's not.
That took them like, but a lot of them also didn't realize that planting can be difficult. They just go like, I just kind of volunteer, plant tree, plant, how hard is it? Then they go like, I need to dig the hole very deep. Then I need to carry the pot. The pot looks small but actually heavy because soil. So
the soil,
So it's a whole learning experience and they start to appreciate the idea of planting.
Oh, what they eat, isn't it?
Yeah, because they didn't realize that it's that much work. So I remember some of them said, Gina, are you sure? Can you buy more plants? I said, no, 30 people, 15 plants. I said, work by pen. No, you can give each of us 1 pot. Dude, you don't know what you're asking for. And that was the start realization that they think a farmer's job is easy. They dig the soil, just put it in, settle. There's no like when weeding, then they say, are you sure you're weeding correct one? They say plant or weeding. Is it stunera or weeds? Looks the same. So then they start to appreciate it a little bit more. The weeding one was really like, our weeds reach our height. I don't know how it got.
Her height.
Yeah. I was like, what nonsense is this, And then they asked me, is this jagung?
Serious?
Because the weed goes long and it has a bit like a jagung like leaf coming out, right? So they were like, is it jagung? I said, no. But yeah, it shows that once you have hands-on experience, it changes a lot of things. And I remember when the corporates came, right, the bosses were worried lah. Sure, they will complain when my worker, I tell you, Gina, 50 of them came right from the office, volunteer day. Sure, they will complain hard work, sweat, hot and whatever not, And so basically is don't have expectation, okay? They might just sit down and do nothing after a while. So I told Juita, okay, no expectation, okay? But when they came, at first they were a bit grumpy. After 5 minutes of touching soil and whatever, suddenly they are laughing and whatever not. And I'm like, wow, so super magic.
Yeah.
Gardening is magic.
I think there was one that when they came, they were all from the same company. I think even the same building block. Same building, same floor and everything. And then they said, this time we can actually talk to each other and get to know each other. Because in the office, it's like you just focus on the work. But while you're working together, right? It became a team building kind of thing as well, right? Yeah. So I suppose that's what you see every day also lah in your work.
Yeah, so I mean a lot of corporates, they want to get out of the office lah because it's a very different environment, right? And doing some gardening work, even composting work. It's really different from office work and you get to learn so many things.
Correct, get all the oxygen into your
and then you're like,
system.
Got earthworm, got frog. It's like, it's become so alien lah to us. Now it's like very rare, that you see these things.
Yeah,
right.
Actually so important to know lah and to appreciate lah frogs and earthworms.
So it's very, for me, gardening is very addictive. So I really hope that, in the futures, right, we are able to convert a lot more people to gardening. How I say it's addictive is because the amount of plants, once you start, right, then you trim, right, then you don't want to kill them, then you're like, hello, everybody want to take this off me. And it just multiplies. If you allow it to multiply. Yeah.
Actually, I have a confession to make. Since we started the garden, right, every week I'm like, when can I go back next?
Oh,
Like I haven't seen it. I feel like getting my hands dirty.
they come all the time, every day.
Yeah, so that's what we do. It's like if I'm having a very stressful week, I will work for the Monday, Tuesday, right? Then by Wednesday afternoon, I say, maybe this evening I will just go there and dig some stuff.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. But I have a garden of my own. It's just that it's not fun to dig in the pot.
Yeah, it's true. Digging in the pot at home, messy.
Correct. But having a farm and a balcony farm, like a very bare minimum balcony farm, can bring a lot of different joy. So during the pandemic because I used to travel a lot, so I don't plant. But during the pandemic, I don't travel, right? It's the best opportunity to plant, right? I plant tomato lah, I plant chili padi lah. And it got so much that I got bored of eating tomatoes.
Yes.
Because
I began to get food, right?
Correct. They start to, the moment they start to bear fruit and turn orange, they do it together. Then you're like, how many tomatoes can I eat? I even tried edamame, which my mom said crazy and it won't happen. But I had so much edamame that I don't feel like eating anymore,
Oh, yeah.
So, but what I'm trying to say here is, even in a small space, in pots, if you do it properly, you can have a healthy snack all the time.
A healthy snack all the time. Yeah, I think that's a nice way to look at it.
Because sometimes she'll ask me, sometimes she asks me, right? Oh, what are you doing? I'm just sitting at the balcony, plucking edamame or popping.
Edamame.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question in relation to that. Is it like some locations cannot plant? Because, okay, my sister-in-law has a nice garden, but every time she tries to plant something that is edible, like tomato or whatever, right? Because there's white flies that will come. So now she's like kind of given up on it because she's like, I don't know what cannot. Cannot.
I mean, there are definitely different sort of like space vibes to different places. I always call it feng shui lah. It's like when we go for a site visit, it's like go look at feng shui, become like feng shui master. Because you really have to look at the feng, which is the wind. You have to look at the water. So the environment of that site, even though, we're generally hot and humid, right? But let's say in an apartment or in a house or landed property or first floor versus 17th floor, there'll be minor changes to the climates.
Okay.
Which make certain things grow better or grow worse.
But having said that, if you have herbs and vegetable, that white thing called what? The aphids, right?
Aphids.
Almost always appear when there's vegetables and herbs.
But so does that mean that it's location based and you just cannot? Or
yes and no.
So some locations, let's say it's like very musky, not enough sun, very wet. Then it becomes very prone to like fungal infections, pest infections and stuff like that. Whereas let's say if it's cool, light, breezy, sunny, then
the thing cannot land. The land only the breeze.
Yeah.
Oh, so put fan can
You try. You let me know. Yeah. I think some fan can, but then too strong your fan, then it will like grow like 90 degrees.
Because I know some farmers, right, the plants, they actually turn on fan once a day. Because when your thing sways, it grows a endurance stem. The stem is very enduring.
Oh,
so
it's like the fish that have the current in the water a bit more.
Correct. So when they grow on that, so some farmers do that so that the stem is thick and strong. Then when they really face a typhoon, it won't snap so easily. But those is like just stagnant. Suddenly one wind come, so they are not used to it.
Okay, you need to build its
correct
resistance.
That's why I said actually it got a bit, So people said, I kill a plant. Actually, it's not really you. It could be the soil. It could be the.
It's not you.
Yeah.
It could be I'm on the 18th floor.
Because I know a lot of people who stop buying plants after they kill a few succulents.
It also could very much be the succulent. I've killed many succulents. But so in my apartment, some things grow well, some things don't grow well.
And it's okay lah.
So plants will die on you one. But it's okay lah. You just try a different plant. So like let's say.
Don't be over, drama about it.
yeah.
I kill
That's
a
life,
plant.
right? I mean, life is just like that, right?
I
Some
mean,
of it will grow, some of it
eventually you
won't.
will kill the plant when you need to eat it, right? I mean, it's a
True.
cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's so many plants in the world that you will surely find something that
Okay,
can thrive on your balcony.
Like final that this one.
So yeah, any last greening tips that you want to give to people? Or if you have a chance to talk to people who don't know gardening or something.
I think the two things I always like to say is make sure you have enough sunlight. So plants cannot grow in a cave, which my friend Ronnie from Awesome Terrariums has said before. Like basically if plants could grow in darkness, then in caves there'll be tons of plants, but Dora, right? So that's a very good analogy to have. So sunlight is very important. You cannot grow plants in your bathroom. Can lah, but maybe money plant can lah, but not
Even
all.
bathroom got the window.
Yes. And the second thing, if you cannot grow anything, I think the least that anyone can do is actually compost. So if you feel that you have brown fingers, that everything you touch dies, then don't worry about gardening. Just try composting because composting
It's brown.
is brown, yeah. And you're still working with plants, still working with things that used to be green, and you're actually creating something that is really of value to future
Yeah.
green plants.
Compost, go back to the farmer and say, here, I give you compost, give me carrot.
So yeah, that's the two things for me.
Jom Sembang Malaysia is hosted by two Malaysians who are passionate about Malaysian stuff.
Stay tuned every week for a brand new Sembang session with Cerita Suito and Gina Yap Layung.
Today's episode is recorded at Studio 2105.
Remember to click like and subscribe for the brand new episode next week.